For Amy Roloff, this was supposed to be it, the peaceful chapter. After decades of drama and a complicated public divorce, her life with Chris Marek was presented as the ultimate reward. A loving partner, a beautiful new home, and a quiet life away from the constant orbit of Roloff farms. They were a team, a united front, building a future that was entirely their own. But for months, eagle-eyed fans have been pointing out the cracks in the facade. A tense moment here, a forced smile there, a noticeable distance between them in scenes where they should be close. We've all seen it, we've all felt it. And many of you have been asking in the comments, is everything okay with Amy and Chris? Today, we can tell you that according to sources on the inside, the answer is no. Everything is not okay. In fact, it's worse than any of us could have imagined. We have received a devastating report from an on-set source for Little People, Big World, who claims the marriage is a complete sham. They are not a team. They are not united. They are, in fact, living completely separate lives under the same roof. The dream home has become a cold, silent war zone. They are staying together for the show, but behind closed doors, the marriage is all but over. And the reason for this catastrophic collapse is a single act of betrayal. A betrayal so profound and so personal to Amy that our source says it is completely unforgivable. And it involves the one person Chris Marek should have never, ever gone to behind her back, Matt Roloff. If you are as stunned and concerned for Amy as we are, please hit that like button right now. Your support helps push this report out to more fans who deserve to know the truth behind the carefully edited scenes. And if you haven't already, subscribe to LPBW Update and ring that notification bell. The story we are about to unfold is a complex web of deceit, and you will want to be here for every single revelation. Okay, let's break down what our source has told us. The situation in their house has reportedly deteriorated to the point where they are no longer even sharing a bedroom. Amy sleeps in the master suite, and Chris has been relegated to the guest room at the other end of the hall. Our on-set source described the atmosphere during filming days as unbearably tense. They said, and I quote, "The moment the director yells, 'cut,' the smiles drop. They don't speak. They walk to separate parts of the house. The crew has been told to film them in shared spaces like the kitchen as much as possible because otherwise you never see them in the same room. It's all an act, a painful, exhausting act." So what could cause a complete breakdown like this? What betrayal could be so deep that a new marriage would shatter so completely? It wasn't another woman. Our source says the truth is far more complex and, for Amy, infinitely more painful. It began with Chris's growing frustration. As a real estate professional, he reportedly felt sidelined in his own home, living off the legacy of Amy's past. He wanted to make his own mark, to be seen as a provider and a businessman in his own right. This insecurity, our source says, led him to hatch a secret plan, a business venture. But he needed a partner with capital and a high-profile name. He needed Matt Roloff. Without telling Amy, Chris began a series of secret meetings with her ex-husband. They would meet for coffee or lunch at places far away from their usual spots to avoid being seen. The topic of conversation? A new joint business venture. Our source claims it was a high-end real estate development company, leveraging Chris's market knowledge and Matt's brand and business acumen. But here's the knife twist. Here is the ultimate betrayal. The seed money for this grand new venture was supposed to come from Amy. Chris's plan was to get Matt on board first, form a solid business plan together, and then present it to Amy as a can't-miss opportunity, effectively teaming up on her to pressure her into funding their dream. He went behind his wife's back to partner with her ex-husband to get his hands on her money. Can you even begin to imagine the level of deceit? He was using the man who caused her so much pain for 30 years as his accomplice. He was turning her past and her present against her, all for his own ego and financial gain. So how did Amy find out? It wasn't from Chris confessing. It was a complete accident. She was reportedly looking for a document on their shared home computer and stumbled upon an email chain between Chris and Matt. The subject line was RM Project Proposal, Roloff, Marek. She read the entire thing, the secret lunch meetings, the business plans, the detailed discussions about how to best approach Amy for the initial investment. The betrayal was laid bare in cold, hard text. Our source described the aftermath as the explosion that ended the marriage. The confrontation was not a quiet argument. It was a screaming match that reportedly lasted 4 hours. Amy felt like the biggest fool in the world. She had trusted this man, defended him to her children, and built a new life with him, only to discover he was conspiring with the ghost of her past right behind her back. She saw it as the ultimate power play, an attempt to control her and her finances by forming an alliance with the one person he knew she was most vulnerable to. She allegedly screamed at him, "You two are the same. You both just see me as a bank account." She threw him out of their bedroom that very night, and he's been in the guest room ever since. The trust is not just broken, it's been vaporized. The marriage, for all intents and purposes, is over. They are coexisting as roommates for the sake of a television contract. But this story is far from finished. The secret alliance between Chris and Matt has created a new toxic dynamic that is about to boil over and affect the entire Roloff family. What exactly was the business they were planning? And what was Matt's motivation for agreeing to this stunning betrayal of his own ex-wife? How did the children, especially Zach, react when they found out about this unholy alliance? In part 2 of this devastating report, we will reveal the shocking details of the RM Project Proposal. We will expose Matt Roloff's true reasoning for joining forces with Chris, and we will share the details of an emergency family meeting called by the Roloff children to confront both their mother and their father about this catastrophic web of deceit. Stay tuned to LPBW Update. The Cold War is about to turn hot. Welcome back to LPBW Update. In part 1, we dropped the bombshell that Amy Roloff and Chris Marek are living separate lives under the same roof, their marriage shattered by Chris's unforgivable betrayal. We revealed he was secretly conspiring with Matt Roloff, her ex-husband, to launch a business venture intending to use Amy's money as their seed capital, all behind her back. Amy stumbled upon the damning evidence herself, turning her dream home into a cold, silent war zone. But the full extent of their deception and the true motives behind this unholy alliance are even more shocking, and the fallout is about to ignite a family civil war. Let's get straight to the heart of the matter. The RM Project Proposal. Our insider was able to provide us with chilling details about the business venture Chris and Matt were secretly planning. This wasn't some small-time real estate flip. This was an ambitious, high-risk commercial property development. The project, as detailed in the alleged emails Amy discovered, involved purchasing a large parcel of undeveloped land on the outskirts of their county. The plan was to secure zoning changes for commercial use, a notoriously difficult and expensive process, and then build a mixed-use complex with retail space, office units, and potentially even some high-density residential apartments. The estimated capital required for the initial land acquisition, zoning applications, and preliminary architectural designs was astronomical, reportedly in the multi-million-dollar range. And this is where Amy's money came in. Chris and Matt had allegedly drawn up financial models that showed Amy's substantial farm settlement as the primary source of early funding. Their strategy was to convince Amy of the incredible returns and assure her of its low risk to get her to invest, essentially using her as their personal bank. Now, you might be asking, why Matt? Why would Matt Roloff, who has spent decades in business, join forces with Chris, the man who married his ex-wife, to hatch such a deceitful scheme against Amy? The answer, according to our sources, is multifaceted and deeply rooted in Matt's own complex personality. Firstly, ego. Matt Roloff thrives on being in control, on being the visionary. Chris, the charming real estate agent, reportedly pitched this as a way for Matt to reassert his business dominance outside of the farm, to build a new legacy, perhaps even bigger than Roloff Farms. He flattered Matt, appealing to his ambition, telling him he was the only one with the vision and experience to pull off such a grand project. Secondly, control over Amy. Despite the divorce, Matt has always exerted a certain influence over Amy's life. He couldn't directly control her money anymore, but by partnering with Chris, he could indirectly gain access to and influence over Amy's financial decisions. He could be the brains of the operation, pulling the strings, even if it was through Chris. It was a power play, a way to reinsert himself into Amy's financial orbit. And finally, simple opportunism. Matt saw a chance for a potentially massive payday using Amy's money and Chris's frontman abilities. It was a purely transactional relationship for Matt, with little regard for the emotional fallout on Amy. He was willing to sacrifice Amy's trust for a chance at another huge score. When Amy discovered the email chain, the explosion was contained to her and Chris. But secrets this volatile can never be kept contained for long. Our sources confirm that Amy, utterly distraught, eventually confided in Tori. And Tori, witnessing Amy's anguish and the blatant betrayal, immediately contacted Zach. The Roloff children were beyond furious, not just at Chris for manipulating their mother, but at their own father, Matt, for being an accomplice in such a cruel deception. This was no longer just about Matt and Amy's divorce. This was about a direct assault on their mother's emotional and financial well-being. They knew they had to act. They couldn't let their mother be further isolated and taken advantage of. So the Roloff children did what they rarely do. They united. They called an emergency family meeting. The demand, both Amy and Matt had to be there. And Chris Marek was explicitly not invited. The meeting, we are told, took place at an undisclosed neutral location, not the farm and not Amy's new home, to prevent any further explosions on set. It was a raw, emotional intervention. Zach, reportedly, led the charge. He confronted Matt first. "Dad," he allegedly began, his voice strained with disbelief. "How could you do this to Mom? After everything, to team up with Chris, to try and take her money behind her back. What kind of father does that?" Matt, always quick on his feet, reportedly tried to deflect. He argued it was a legitimate business opportunity that Amy was too emotional to see. He claimed he was trying to help her invest wisely, but the kids weren't buying it. Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob, all reportedly present, chimed in, accusing Matt of being greedy and manipulative, no different from the man their mother married. But the real heartbreak came when they turned to Amy. The children, devastated by her pain but also frustrated by her apparent naivety, pleaded with her to see Chris for who he truly was. Zach allegedly said, "Mom, he's just using you. He's not the man you think he is. How can you stay with someone who would conspire against you with Dad?" Amy, caught in the middle, was reportedly in tears. She tried to defend Chris at first, saying he made a mistake and didn't mean to hurt her. But the kids presented her with the detailed evidence they had seen, the full email chain, the dates of the secret meetings, and the financial projections. They laid bare the depth of the betrayal. That meeting ended with a profound shift. Amy, finally stripped of her denial, reportedly broke down. realizing the full extent of Chris's deceit. She acknowledged that the marriage was shattered. The kids, seeing their mother's true pain, embraced her, reassuring her that they would support her no matter what. But while Amy's eyes were open, the family was left with a gaping wound. The kids now view Matt with renewed distrust, seeing his past patterns of behavior confirmed. And Amy's marriage to Chris is a hollow shell, maintained only for contractual obligations to the show. So where does this leave them now? Amy and Chris continue to play the part of a happily married couple for the cameras, but the truth is they are roommates. The show is reportedly editing out any signs of tension, trying to maintain the perfect couple facade. But behind the scenes, the silence between them is deafening. The Roloff family dynamic has been irrevocably altered. The secret alliance between Chris and Matt has not only destroyed a marriage, but has further fractured the already complex Roloff family, pushing them deeper into a silent internal war. Amy is left picking up the pieces, facing a future where trust has been shattered by the two men who were supposed to protect her. This isn't just a storyline anymore. This is the raw, devastating truth. And the question remains, how long can they keep this charade going before the entire world sees the cracks in the carefully constructed facade?